If you haven't seen a whole episode of SNL, then I'm sure you've seen some iconic clips online. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, Wayne's World, there are so many amazing skits, and there have been all sorts of people who have appeared on the show, from musicians to actors and even sports stars. SNL does not hold back when it comes to its guests, so let's check out what NFL stars have been on SNL. Today, you'll be hearing about Aaron Rodgers and more. Pete Davidson versus Aaron Rodgers. There's been recent controversy with Aaron Rodgers and the vaccine, and we all know when there's controversy, it will appear on SNL. Pete Davidson said, "It's my body and my COVID. I can give it to whoever I want. But suddenly the woke mob is coming after me. It's gotten so bad that State Farm called, and they're not even offering me the Rodgers rate," as he portrayed the 37-year-old NFL star. To set the stage, Cecily Strong was Judge Jeanine Pirro, who was inspired by her Fox News TV show. When she invited Davidson as Rodgers on the stage, she said, "An American brave enough to stand up and say, 'Screw you, science, I know Joe Rogan.'" Davidson's costume consisted of a graphic t-shirt, a beanie, some fake facial hair, and a wig that allowed him to have long hair so he could really embody Rodgers. As the skit continued, Davidson said, "I never lied. I took all my teammates into a huddle, got their faces 3 inches away from my wet mouth, and told them, 'Trust me, I'm more or less immunized.' Go team." Did you see this skit? What did you think about it? Aaron Rodgers is now dealing with a continued controversy over his vaccination status. Now he's been in an SNL skit. We all know his controversy is at its peak when it's made into a skit. Do you think SNL sometimes does skits that aren't tasteful, or do you think they use controversy as a way to stay relevant in popular culture? Let us know. SNL versus Jon Gruden. Former Las Vegas Raiders coach Jon Gruden was forced out last week due to racist, misogynistic, and homophobic comments he made in emails while he was an ESPN commentator. This particular sketch had some well-known names again to play out the scene: Pete Davidson, Cecily Strong, Colin Jost, Heidi Garner, and Kenan Thompson. The sketch focused on people accenting and then resigning from being the Raiders coach because of comments they made in the past. Colin Jost, who played NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, held a news conference with team officials. He started off with, "I assure you, all 32 teams in our league understand that diversity is our strength, and I know our black coaches would agree, both of them." Gruden, who was played by James Austin Johnson, said that he didn't mean to use the hateful language that was leaked by the New York Times, but that he got burned by autocorrect. I didn't know autocorrect started using hateful words either. Next, Pete Davidson, who was playing Larry Rucker, stood up at the podium and said, "Too bad, I have to resign. They just found my emails." After this, Heidi Garner, who's playing a Washington football team cheerleader, came up to defend the organization by saying, "Do not reflect the values of our team, a team which until a year ago was called the Redskins." Chris Redd, who played Colin Kaepernick, made the comment, "So much stuff coming out about how the NFL is maybe racist? Huh? Wonder if anyone tried to warn people of this before." What do you think about this skit calling out the NFL and its racism? Do you think humor is a good way to bring light to these kinds of issues? Does it actually make a difference, or is it another way to stay relevant? You want to know which NFL stars have been hosts on SNL? They're not always the butt of the joke. Sometimes they're a part of the fun. Can you guess who it may be? Fran Tarkenton. Back in January 1977, the very first NFL player was introduced to SNL. Fran Tarkenton appeared at the end of his career that started in 1961. The skit poked fun at the injuries NFL players, but how coaches would not care and only wanted to win. Tarkenton was a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings and New York Giants. He was also a 9-time Pro Bowler MVP in 1975. John Madden. Many people know John Madden because of the video games instead of the field or the broadcasting booth. Madden's franchise has made a massive impact on culture, but there is much more about his career that isn't spoken about. Madden was originally drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1958, but sustained an injury during training, and his playing career was then derailed. This put him on the coaching path, which then resulted in him being hired by the Oakland Raiders in 1969. His team won Super Bowl XXIX in 1977. Madden hosted SNL in 1982, and this was at the start of his broadcasting career. This sketch showed Madden broadcasting in the losers' locker room. He performed his sketch besides Eddie Murphy, where he was then shot and it was framed as a suicide. Madden's trying to save his show by speaking to other players, but it continues to show the complaints that are being made by the losing team. Walter Payton and Joe Montana. In 1987, SNL brought on two of the biggest NFL stars to host, Joe Montana and Walter Payton. Peyton. They completed a rare two-man hosting gig on the show. The sketch showed Montana and Peyton square off with Dana Carvey's church lady. It's no surprise that the church lady was not a fan of football, where she begins to speak about how football is a satanic ritual. Church lady also doesn't like Channel 7. With their witty remarks and banter with church lady, they were able to create a sketch that had the audience laughing. Church lady also showed their sexual thoughts through their sexual innuendos. Next, church lady agreed to play football with the two football players. Church lady then fakes out Walter Payton so they can run into the audience and hide. It ended with church lady winning the game of football with the help of Joe Montana. Tom Brady. April 2005 had Tom Brady on the show as a host. This was 2 months after Brady's New England Patriots defeated the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl, which resulted in Brady's third championship. Tom Brady played a fair game in order to win a bear. However, he missed the goal twice. Afterwards, he was defeated by a pregnant lady and his on-screen girlfriend instead. This led Tom Brady to play 3 games in a row but continued to lose. His losing streak resulted in him walking away and watching 2 gay men come up and an elderly lady on a scooter coming up to the stall and winning bears. Do you think it's funny when athletes make fun of themselves on comedy shows? Peyton Manning. Tom Brady's rival, Peyton Manning, was also a host on SNL. Some argue that his hosting was better than Brady's. Manning's sketch was a commercial of how he spends time with children as charity work. He uses football to teach them communication and teamwork. However, he hits the children directly with the football and would tell them that they're not good at football. This is then paired and matched with swearing. Peyton also taught children how to break into a car and help them get tattoos in the park. He also had children become his wingman so then he could introduce himself to a woman on the bench. It ended with telling parents to spend time with their kids so Peyton Manning won't have to. Would you let Peyton Manning spend time with your child? Eli Manning. The younger Manning was also a host on SNL with an impressive performance for viewers. Eli came to SNL a few months after defeating Brady in the Super Bowl for the second time. He received a very warm welcome from the New York audience, which was well deserved. His sketch was on trial for a murder. Eli was texting during the time of the murder, so his lawyer was trying to prove his client's innocence. It showed that he texted several different women during a specific time to show that he was busy and thinking about other actions instead of a violent one. A picture was also brought up that he sent where he placed a banana in his crotch to represent himself. The lawyer asked if this was an accurate representation of himself, and he said it wasn't because the banana was larger. The judge and the lawyer laughed at the fact and also laughed that after this he continued to text many other women looking for someone to spend the night with. His character was a failed pickup artist, and many said that his performance was on point for it. Do you know any failed pickup artists who could sympathize with Eli's character on SNL? Well, everyone, there you have it. SNL and the NFL teamed up for funny skits that work together and also skits where they talk about controversy. Let us know if you've watched any of these sketches before and if you have a favorite one.